Babe.
Yeah, babe.
We about to talk about the Bachelorette party.
Ooh.
Ooh, I love this episode.
I popped out of a few cakes in my day. You know. Hey, ladies.
Gather round. I like that. Yeah.
Yes. Mess around.
Mess around.
That's what I'm talking about. All day. Mess around. All night. Look at that.
They messing around. Real quick before we jump into this episode,
Yeah.
they say bachelorette parties are like wild and crazy, and the only time I've ever seen bachelorette parties are on like adult sites, and they do get a little crazy. But I mean, like those are like intentional. Is that
a real thing?
Is that a real?
People think that like hot, sexy things go down at a bachelorette party.
That's what they say. I've never actually been to one.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I've never been to one.
I've actually only ever been to one bachelorette party in my life, and it was Liz Merriwether's.
And was it crazy?
It was really fun. It was super fun, and it's actually, I went to the dinner, sat down. There wasn't a lot of us. It was just a handful of her friends, and it was in Palm Springs. And we went to sit down at the dinner, and we'd had a few beverages. We were having a good time, and there was name cards for everybody, and it said Cece. So I sat down. I don't know why. I just sat. I was so used to it. We're so deep in the new girl world, and I just like sat down, and then Cece walked in, who is Liz's best friend, who she named Cece after. And she had flown in from India. She's married to, she's not Indian, but she's married to an Indian. She lives in India. And it was just such a funny moment because she was like, hi. And I was like, hello. And she was like, I think you're in my seat. And I was like, oh my God. And we met and we became super dear friends, me and Cece, that night.
That's awesome.
It was really great. It was a really fun bachelor party. A lot of dancing. It was super, super fun. And then we ended up back at the house, and it's the only picture I have of that bachelorette party, of Liz's bachelorette party, is me wearing penis glasses.
Hilarious.
Which fits perfectly with this episode.
Yeah.
Because that's apparently all that Cece, the character in New Girl that I play, wanted.
I'm always like curious, like especially this one. Like Liz Merriwether's, I guess I wouldn't say I'm always curious. I'm curious after hearing this story. At a Liz Merriwether bachelorette party, I feel like there would be like a clown jumping out of a cake, like a clown stripper.
No.
Something.
No strippers.
Man, y'all ain't living.
Zero strippers.
Y'all ain't living life.
We
There's
went
a bunch
to
of unemployed male strippers out there. You know what I'm saying? Ready to just like.
Who needed our bills?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Listen, Liz is rich.
It was a super, super, super fun night, though, I will say. And it was my first bachelorette and only bachelorette party. Never been invited back to another one. So
I guess both of them are like, because I've been to bachelor parties that are just not what I think they're going to be.
Oh.
And I'm like,
well, they're boring?
It's not that they're boring. They're fun. But it's not like the movies. It's just not like the movies.
Is there always strippers involved?
In the movies, yeah.
No, in the ones you've been to.
No.
This is what you're really talking about. You just thought there would always be strippers.
Because the movies. Because the movies.
You're in the industry. You understand it's a fabrication.
I know, but the movies.
Well, you would have been disappointed at Liz's then, because there were no strippers. But it was a hella good time. Who wrote this episode?
It's not on here. Oh, yes, it is. Kay Cannon, Sophia Lear.
Oh, yeah, Kay Cannon, Sophia Lear, which, by the way, fun fact, when they show in this episode the slideshow on the TV of Cece and all of her poor choices, there was a picture of myself and Kay Cannon.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I remember that. I saw that.
Yeah, it was really funny. I didn't realize that because I remember they took him randomly throughout the week. So it'd be like shooting something in the bar and they'd be like, just hold up 2 bottles and look crazy.
Yeah, look
and
wild.
I was like, okay. And I didn't know until the episode came out to be like, oh my gosh, like we just used these and did not edit them or let me like pick some of these. I did look crazy.
One of the pictures looked like you were in a ditch. Yeah. And I was like, whoa.
Honestly, that's probably walking to set. They were just like, lay down, snap. And I was like, what? What's happening here?
What life is she living over here? It's like, she in a ditch? And what kind of friends take a picture of you in a ditch?
I mean, this is the new world, man.
Oh
it's just
God.
like, you're like, help. They're like, hold on a second. Click, post. Now I got you.
Okay, so You want to dive in?
Yeah, dive in. Talk about it.
Okay, so with Cece's wedding right around the corner, Jess takes the lead in throwing her the best bachelorette party ever. We quickly find out that Cece has never seen Chevrang's penis and is having doubts and getting married. Motherfucker.
Let me just say something to you. Did you watch this episode? Did you actually rewatch it? For real?
Yes, I rewatch all the time. I do.
The way you just answered that seems suspicious.
I know.
But listen, how did you just say Satya Baba's character's name?
It's in the episode he goes Chevrang.
Yeah.
But I always said Chevrang.
But that's the whole point. The whole point is he goes at the end like, nobody even knows my name. It's Chevrang.
It's Chevrang. I've always said Chevrang.
All right.
Let me go pick this
disrespect to the end.
Okay, look, we quickly find out that Cece has never seen Chevrang's penis and is having doubts about getting married. Jess tasks Nick and Winston with kidnapping Chevrang and, more importantly, getting a picture of his junk stuff. Meanwhile, Schmidt, annoyed that he doesn't have a +1 for the wedding, tries to find himself a serious girlfriend. Let's go to break.
The Jake Johnson bit that will never die now. Oh, not look at that. Oh, not look at that. Oh, not look at that.
And we are back.
We never went nowhere. We never went nowhere.
We won't. We won't. So this episode, obviously, like you said before, written by Kate Cannon and Sophia Lear, directed by Matt Sohn.
So it starts off with Dead Dad Pass.
Yes.
Which, by the way, so this is what I always say when I've watched The Bachelor, right? When these,
Why you watching?
Just go with me for a second. Is when you watch The Bachelor, is that when these girls would get on like their date with The Bachelor, and then they have to quickly try to form some sort of connection as fast as possible for the guy to be like, oh, she's like vulnerable and like needs me. I always say it's like they play the dead dad card. The first thing they lead with, watch The Bachelor. I don't know, I'm whispering because I feel like it's like a bad thing to say, but it's just facts. It's just facts. They immediately go like, well, my dad died. And then the guy goes like, oh, and then it's like,
and he's in. He's in.
He melts and he's in. And so watching this episode where he's just sort of like, listen, you got to let me do whatever I want. You got to just like be there for me. Dead dad pass. I was just like, he's just a girl on The Bachelor.
No, can I explain something to you about these guys on the show? When a girl says her dad died, he's not trying to be, the guy is not going, aw, because he's concerned. The guy is going, ooh, daddy issues.
It's an to ooh.
Easily moldable. Oh, wow. She's going to call me daddy.
Okay.
That's what they're thinking. These guys.
This is a love reality show.
Yeah, okay.
And it's all about the love. Jokes. I agree with you.
No disrespect to The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but come on, man. Y'all on there for TV time and some.
It's changed.
And some sex.
It's changed.
That's what's happening.
If you were The Bachelor, by the way, that would be must-see TV.
Oh, hell yeah. I would date all of them. I'd literally marry everyone. Like, hey, I am Nigerian. These are all my
like
women.
The Bachelor in Utah.
Yes.
Starring Lamorne Morris.
These are all my
episode,
women.
I give them all a ring.
Yes.
That's how the show works, man.
It doesn't
You
matter.
got to whittle them down.
No, it doesn't matter.
I have 2 bouquets of roses. Give them all the roses. Have you watched the show? That's how it works.
That's it. They should have do they have a polyamorous bachelorette or bachelor?
Are we pitching a show right now?
Hey, let's do it.
You on the
Joel,
show?
you trying to produce this TV show? Hey.
You get a wife. You get a wife. You get a wife.
Okay.
All right. Now that our hit show has been sold,
Yeah. So
get back to this one.
So yeah, he has the dead dad pass. Which was interesting because obviously in real life Dennis Farina passed away, and it was very, very sad. Weird. It's interesting. This was weird to watch, and we had this conversation before because Jake's in real life his father passed. I'm watching it talking about Pop and my father passed, and then Dennis Farina's also passed. It's weird to watch it and then to like go and like want to talk about it afterwards. You know what I mean? That's why Jake and I make jokes about it. We make jokes about it all the time because it kind of helps, using comedy to kind of get through whatever weird stuff is going through your brain while watching something like this.
I remember when I met Dave Finkel and Brett Baer, who are the co-showrunners of this show, and they basically said the reason casting this show took so long is they were looking for people that were not only like funny, had great chemistry with the other actors, but that could bring their stories and their lives and had interesting backgrounds and use it in the show. Because if you do make over 100 episodes, you got to start pulling from somewhere. And I think those were the moments where art and life started to blur a little bit. And that's where you saw those kind of real moments. So when you see someone talking about dead dad pass and you know the story, all of a sudden it like hits different.
Yeah, 100%. But there's still no excuse to wear that yellow tracksuit. You know
what? I think I remember being at a fitting and they gave Deborah McGuire, the incredible costume designer on her show, had that. And I feel like Jake's mom was there. And he put it on and she liked it. And I kind of liked it too. I was like, man, it was ahead of its time, those matching sets. He looked good in it. I didn't see it as like a crazy thing. I was like, homeless pencil. I was like, that's disrespectful. That's a cute set. I would rock that set in a heartbeat. I feel like his mom liked it.
I mean, well, you know, it was old school.
Old school, I like that.
That's for sure.
I like that 70s vibe.
Me and my buddy Chris Page, we used to, this is so stupid. We used to shop at Old Navy all the time and always get the same stuff.
Yeah.
And so one time we and there's photos, I got to find these photos of us in these brown velour jumpsuits with like yellow piping down the sides. It's very similar to this one, but brown.
If we go on a little press circuit promoting this podcast, we better be in matching tracksuits.
I mean,
we kind of today, this is, by the way, happenstance.
Yeah.
That we're in the exact same colors.
Almost.
Close.
Oh, shoes, yeah. I should have put the black jeans on.
We're coordinated.
Gold chains. Hey, I got my bangs under this hat. Okay, so Winston walks in with Cece's wedding invites.
Yeah.
Schmidt is quite pissed off that he didn't get a +1.
I mean, kind of rightfully so.
Yeah.
To invite your ex and not give them a +1 is just like a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah.
Feels really, like it feels very intentional by Cece.
100%.
To be like, I'm gonna let you sit there and watch it alone.
Yeah. Then you're gonna get invited to the honeymoon by yourself and you're gonna watch. He's essentially a cuck audience member.
I mean, but it's very rare, I feel like, that Schmidt is in the right and Cece's in the wrong.
Yes.
Very rare in this series.
Yes.
But this is one of those moments where I watched it and I was like, this feels like she's trying to teach him something.
Yeah. I wouldn't, I would just not go. I literally, I would just.
You can't not.
I know, but I'm just saying, I in real life, if that were me, I would just not go. And then when she's like, what happened to you? I'm like, listen, worry about your husband. You gotta worry about him. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
It's maybe one of the funniest moments, because I forgot that it happened, is when Schmidt comes over to Cece's apartment, just busts through the door, pushes past Chevrung, and he goes, what are you doing here? And Cynthia goes, you stole my question. And then he just owns the whole room.
Yes.
And she's like, oh my, the most entitled?
Yes.
Your wedding is about me? It's about my guest. I'm going to sit here and negotiate and battle until I get my way.
Yes.
It was one of the funniest moments to see how heartbroken Schmidt takes on the heartbreak in a place of indignation around her now moving forward married life.
Yes.
So funny, so good.
Now, let's just get back into what we were talking about earlier. Jess is throwing Cece a bachelorette party at the loft. She needs Nick and Winston's help, which is weird, the request. She needs them to kidnap Chevrung so she can get Cece alone. And Winston takes this a little bit too far.
Yeah, no surprise. I feel like this was also the beginning of the too big or too small Winston personality.
Kind of,
thing. It's the first time we really saw that he just goes way overboard and can't tell where the line is.
100%.
And Jake's reactions are Jake's reactions, not Nick's reactions. I feel like I saw his face break so many times in those scenes and being like, what are you doing? Because you were delivering the lines with such authority. And he's like, ease up, man. Slow down. What's happening? We don't have to go this hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that you, is that a normal thing to do that you like, I mean, please get this guy out of the picture so we can go and throw a party or when you just say like, hey, we want to throw Cece a party.
Or I don't think that her and Chevrung are attached at the hip.
Yeah.
You could just be like, if you're trying to do it as a surprise, be like, hey, Wednesday night, we're going, whatever, and then just take her.
Right.
But I think, it's TV. So they needed to have another
Some hijinks.
storyline.
They needed some
and
hijinks.
the true story of this episode is not about a bachelorette party. It's, can you marry someone if you have not seen their bits and pieces?
Right.
That's the real question. Can you do it? How do you struggle with it? How does it come out? Do you ask for it? Do you just not, whatever? That's what the true crux of it is. And so they needed a Siobhan storyline and somebody alongside with him that can connect it back.
Well, the question, can you marry someone if you haven't seen?
Like billions of people do.
Right.
Lots of people do. But is there an internal struggle?
Well, Siobhan's mom says, yeah,
the auntie.
The auntie says, well, there's a lot of women that cry about this type of stuff for weeks.
I thought that was the nice turn in the episode where she goes, you okay, mama? Yeah, no, don't apologize. We're all humans. We all cough. We all sneeze. We all live.
A fun fact about me, I don't cough, I don't sneeze.
But you don't live either, bud. We're working on that. We're working on that, trying to give you that life. I got a cough. Make me feel alive. I thought that was a really sweet turn because I always feel like this way with the generation before us, you naturally are try to be a little more conservative and protective and let's not, whatever.
Yeah.
Speak about things in a way that feels disrespectful. And so they're overprotective. They just think, oh gosh, this is going to horrify her. But she's a woman. She's a grown woman.
Yeah.
She's had relations, she's been married. She had children. And so when she finally gets let in on what the struggle is with Cece, I think it's really sweet that she's just oh no. If anybody, everyone in Indian cultures that arranged marriages are going what's going to happen?
Right.
When I never mind experience it, but see it for the first time.
But I think it's important too to understand that you're going to get married to a person, and regardless, because sex is one part of the whole equation.
Sure.
It's just one variable.
Yeah.
So if that goes away at some point, what else do you have? And that typically goes away with old age and maybe sickness and maybe whatever when you can't do those things or even maybe boredom.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Life.
This life happens,
Yeah.
So do you have the other things to stand on? And I think that could be one benefit of not knowing, because everything else is solid.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people often drive forward with lust so strongly that they don't then build the foundation for the other things.
Right.
And then, maybe then your sexual chemistry changes for a while. And then what now?
Because that's why I want to marry twins, because mine is moving through the wrong lens and I should be focused on.
Save it for the show.
I'm just saying.
Put it in our show pitch.
Yes. I'm married to twins.
How to make sure you have a successful relationship. Have an identical looking person that's willing to jump in.
Okay. You talked about this already. Schmidt walks into the apartment and asks why he doesn't have a +1. Cece says, if he has a real girlfriend by the time of the wedding, he can get a +1.
That's right.
And I love this because I love when they write a quest for a character.
Oh, it's so funny that he's on this mission. And the way Max handles going back to all these women that he has slept with, treated poorly, rejected, ghosted, everything.
Yep.
And their responses, the funniest thing ever. One of the funniest montages that I'd totally forgotten existed.
Oh yeah, me too.
Kudos to all those female actresses for really delivering and making us realize what a chump he was.
What a chump.
Yeah.
Merritt Weaver.
And then Merritt Weaver, man, she's the queen.
She's so dope.
She's the queen.
So good.
The way she can sit in those scenes and be so, she just has that magic thing. Whatever it is, when you watch her, you believe her.
It's called talent.
Yeah. It's called what?
Talent.
Never. What? Merritt, you got it.
Girl, you got that.
You got that.
It was, and it was so fun to watch. There was, I know we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I remember the moment where Schmidt asks her if he could, if she would be the date because he wants to make Cece jealous.
Yeah.
She's like, no. But then he comes back, he's got the pizza.
The end, yeah.
And I know we're jumping forward, but I thought it was so funny because you see when he's Big Schmidt from back in the day versus the new Schmidt, when he's Big Schmidt, he's always dancing.
Yeah, and the voice.
And I watched
giggle. He could fully channel.
Back and I was like, yo,
he could fully channel it.
Yeah.
And you could see it was the craziest, most amazing bit of acting by Max, I thought, because you could fully see the thing.
Yeah. 100%.
It was amazing.
100%.
And you could see it made her melt a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh, he's still in there. Like the true you.
Yeah.
That you're not trying to like compensate for all these other things.
The pre-Ozempic you is in there.
See a little glimmer.
Okay, so let's cut to this this bachelorette party.
Oh my gosh, with Sadie, played by June Diane Raphael, is so funny.
Oh
the
my gosh.
Very pregnant, very lesbian gynecologist
Is in there plotting on all these women.
being so shady. Just so many models. So the best is when she goes like, so if anybody needs anything looked at, and then looks over at Jess, she's like, it's too far, it's too much, it's too much. So she's catching herself being so wrong for it.
That was so funny.
So funny. She's so funny in every scene. When they it's later in the episode where she's sitting on the couch and she just has her head rested and like nuzzles on, and you're just thinking about like guys at bachelor parties, like women worry so much, and here is this wife at a bachelorette party.
Plotting.
But also, like, not okay. What are you doing?
Yeah.
She's a married, pregnant woman.
Plotting.
And you snuggling and cuddling up with a model?
Hey, she know what time
Roll the
it is.
tapes. Roll the tapes.
She know what time it is.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. It's problematic. It's when we have trust issues.
My favorite, and again, I'm sorry to keep jumping forward. My favorite, we were talking about the models, is when Rebecca Reed.
Oh, Nadia.
Rebecca Reed when Schmidt walks in, and then she goes, "Hey, Jew."
Hi, Nadia. It's such like a Newman moment.
Yeah.
Like they have that dynamic.
Hello,
Newman.
Yeah.
It's exactly how he delivers. Hello, Nadia. Bane of his existence.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny. That was also Max was on fire this episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he had a ton, but he just crushed it. Like angry Schmidt
Okay,
is so funny.
He's
to
the
me.
best because his screaming voice is hilarious.
That's right. He gets higher pitched.
Yeah.
His voice goes up a notch. It's so funny.
Okay. So they play Ping the Dong on Chevron at the bachelorette party.
Pin the dong. And then, yes, he has a breakdown because she's like, I've never seen it. Right? And they're just like, well, you still know where it goes. I don't know how this impact the game. Like, just put it on.
Yeah. Do you know
this
where it
part
goes?
of his body.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden she's talking about all the things she's super scared about.
Right.
And Jess is like, I got you. Don't worry. I'm going to get a picture of it. A solicited dick pic.
Right. And it's strange because she wants the dudes to go and like somehow get a picture of his, and they're like, all right, cool. Like, how does that, I've never.
Could another man trick you into getting a picture of your penis? Like, could someone fool you without you realizing it's being done?
No.
That's what I'm saying. It's the craziest thing in the world.
If your penis is out and someone has a camera around, you should be on alert that someone's trying to take a picture of it.
Well, they tried to play the game, right? Where it's just like, it's an American bachelor party. I'll take pictures of our penis. Now you do it. And he was like,
no.
I'm going to go to the bar and have a drink.
let's get some drinks.
You can't peer pressure me. I'm a grown man.
Right.
What are we doing?
It's so weird.
And then they try to jump him in a bathroom stall. Though Winston
So stupid.
gets a
fire.
different memo. And this is the part of the too far. This is honestly, I feel like the origin, we see the foundation of why the mess around works so well for Winston and Cece. Because you see where his instinct goes.
Yeah.
It's wild. He sets the bar on fire.
That's dumb.
It's the dumbest, but so funny. And then he realizes, then Chevron finds out what's really going on, that she's freaking out.
That she's freaking out.
And needs to see it.
Yeah. And then, but then they realize that it's Nick's. And
Yeah, that picture gets sent.
yeah, because what's funny about that is that there are moments where, remember I think it was season 1 where Nick is dancing in his room and he's listening to like some like reggae music, and he's naked looking in the mirror.
Oh,
And he
yeah.
goes, "It is what it is." So he's not impressed. However, when they see the picture of it, they're like, "Well done, Chevrong.
Yeah.
Well done." You know what I mean?
Here's the thing I thought, again, I haven't watched the episode in so long. I thought for sure there's going to be a joke about why does Chevrong have a
White man's penis.
fully Asian penis?
Well, you
Like,
know,
what?
they be different tones. Yeah, I don't know. Depending on the sunlight.
Never
you
seen the
get.
sun.
No, he don't be sunbathing.
But didn't Nadia make the joke?
What'd she say? Like it's winter.
3
all-
more weeks till winter.
Yeah.
Or something, about like how the mole crawls out, and that's and right on Labor Day. Isn't that what it is? And then that's what they can tell of like how long it is until like winter's gonna come.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. Like maybe that was the pale joke.
Ah.
I don't know. That's
maybe.
like the best I can like think of because it feels
Or
like
it's
it would be alarming to see.
Or was
it.
uncircumcised.
Maybe. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's in,
Yeah.
it's in the hood.
Little-
Come on, hey, what up?
Hello.
Anyway, that's enough of that stuff.
I mean, it's a whole episode about a dick pic. I mean, we're gonna have these conversations.
You ever gotten an unsolicited dick pic?
I've never gotten a dick pic. Don't.
I'm not sending you a dick pic.
No, but I know you. You will go on the IG and say things that are not okay.
No, you're a married woman now. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
If you just had like a boyfriend, then yeah. If he was just a boyfriend,
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, Hannah ain't never got a dick pic. Y'all go ahead and light her up in the
well,
DMs.
now it is out there. No, I mean, really, if someone was trying to actively turn me off, it would be a good move for them.
That'd be the way to do it.
It's just out of context.
Yeah, I never understood why
I'm
people.
also not making decisions based off I want to be with someone based on what that looks like. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe start with your face. Start up here.
When a woman asked me for that, it happens a few times. I Google a very like white penis. And I send that to them. This is clearly a screen grab from online.
I mean, this is basically what happened to Cece.
Yes.
She
I
got
do
a white man's penis.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's smart. I feel like everybody now knows. Do people know, or are people still making mistakes out in these streets? Like everybody knows. Don't do that.
I don't think people are still doing that.
It's gonna come back to
They're not still doing that.
get you.
I don't think.
Don't do it.
Okay, so yeah, we'll be back. Okay, so we are back.
Back.
So we get this slideshow of you
Yeah.
in all these weird,
Yeah.
kind of sloppy
Very sloppy.
situations.
Yeah.
It's setting you up to be a real trash fire.
You know what, though? I will say I have some really funny pictures of like friends just being like way out of pocket. And it is really fun to send back and forth because you know it's safe.
Yeah.
And the only person ever see you like that, or even you just look, whatever, looking like super crazy in the morning, whatever, and you take some picture and they're like, oh God.
Yeah.
It's like a nice fun bit. So it felt like a real friendship thing to be like, we can all look at these things and laugh because like we know you and we love you. But to show it when there is like an auntie in the room felt a little wild for Jess.
That's a bit much.
But here's the thing. I think Jess was sort of like, this was your dream. You didn't plan for the wedding. All you wanted was this exact bachelorette party I'm going to deliver because I love you. And then to watch Cece feel like self-conscious and embarrassed was such like a big red flag, I think, for Jess to be like, we have to talk about it. And then they end up having that screaming match against each other, like real sisters, just going at it, right? Just being like, support me. Things have changed is what Cece's kind of saying, right? And she's going, no, it's like, you're not the true you. And here's the thing about New Girl is I remember shooting that and we shot it basically at all different levels. There was also like a room full of people in the scene. So we did one as like a screaming through your teeth kind of fight like this. And then we did one more we were just like talking it out, just like mad talking. And then we did one where we were yelling at each other. And I just thought it was so interesting to see that for the show, they used the one where they just went like straight into yelling.
Yes.
Which I kind of like the choice, even though I felt like I would never just start screaming at somebody.
Hey, you're Canadian.
Yeah. It's against our culture. They would revoke my passport. Like, I just felt like it was like a really sweet sign of like, like their friendship. You know, like if they were mad, they could just go in hot at each other and it would burn clean. And I thought that was, you get these little glimmers of how close and how much Cece and Jess love each other. And in a weird way, I felt like that fight was that reflection of it. They were saying all these things that just they hadn't said and getting it out.
Yeah. I thought it was weird. I was annoyed at Jess's character because in my mind, I was like, well, you're supposed to be protecting her in this situation. The man she's about to marry, his aunt's in the room. Of course she's going to act like this ain't her thing. That's none of her business.
Yeah.
That's for us.
Yeah.
Now you're putting it out there. I can't act, I gotta pretend that that's not me.
Yeah.
Until Jess was like, well, hold on though. It's not about her. It's about this marriage. Are you going to pretend the whole marriage?
Right.
Because that, girl, you was in them bushes.
That's right. That's right.
Girl, that is who you are. So now are you about to pretend that, you know, you're going to switch everything up and, you know, somewhat for the good. You don't want to be hanging out in ditches, you know,
right.
But, you know, you're this fun side of you, you know, who you are, your charismatic character can't change.
It feels like that was a huge part of it. And I feel like it's also the idea of feeling pushed out. Like, are we not going to be able to have the friendship that we have? Am I now like losing my friend and it's going to be replaced by this person who's going to pretend now that she isn't who she really is?
Right.
And then where's that space for me? Because the Cece I know would be loving this party.
Right.
So now I don't even know how we are going to be together, what our friendship looks like. So you're having a big crisis when you've basically been in a deep relationship your whole life since they were kids.
Right.
So I think it was all of that coming out, which is why that fight was so good. And having these female writers, I think, write it, like could understand all of that pent up fear and love just kind of like just spilling out of them.
Because what was, you know, also a ruined moment was that Alfredo didn't get a chance to do his thing.
It was one of my favorite moments. Alfredo coming out with that sauce. Oh, and he's really just like excited. And the way he walks off, where he's just sad and he looks to the left and looks to the right and and he's just so frustrated because he had it all locked and loaded and it was a big deal. It's one of the greatest exits.
And then what's even funnier is when Schmidt walks in and was like, I just saw Alfredo in the elevator.
So funny. It was such a perfect bit that it just make it a moment that they kept it going. And of course it's Schmidt. He's crying in the elevator.
Now, Schmidt visits Elizabeth at her place because Winston is kind of like, hey, man, why don't you take Elizabeth, you know, as your date? And he's like, no, you know, she was with me. You know, I was with her at a different time. I was Big Schmidt back in the day. Like, you know, we're different.
Yeah, I think the part, like, for me, I thought with the really big part that happens in this episode that I really liked, because it's a bit of a sillier episode, which I appreciate and love. It made me laugh out loud. But is Cece asks Jess to be the maid of honor, which means they've kind of healed this thing a little bit to be like, okay, you're going to keep me honest and I love you and there's no one else I would ask. And Schmidt, for the first time, really, after acting really wild and entitled and disrespectful and narcissistic, having a very authentic moment with Cece and apologizing because he recognizes something about himself that only Elizabeth could tell him.
Right.
And he realizes like, oh my gosh, this is how I screwed it up again. And so he goes back and he has a real moment. And I thought it was just really sweet because he's in this genuine moment, but then they cut to a shot of myself, of Cece. Like it really like lands. Like she was looking for that, which then as a viewer, when you're watching it, you root for them again. You know, you kind of like all of a sudden you're like, wow, like he's maturing, he's growing up and this is growing him up. And you're hoping as a fan of the show that she kind of can recognize it. And they cut to this kind of look that I give him and when he does this apology. And I just thought it was like a really sweet moment where a lot of like, you know, unsaid moments happened too on her end. And that kind of started to like build the storyline through for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tag on this episode. By the way, can I just say something about the tag of this episode where he shows up with the pizza? And this is maybe a little bit more about me than anything else. Okay. If I like take a chip and I have salsa and then I go and like eat a bit of cheese, I feel fine. by myself. Okay, I'm just like, no. If I melt that cheese, hot cheese, make some like nachos and eat it. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm having like a real like treat, like a real cheat day kind of treat situation. What is it? Why have we judged hot cheese so much? Why do we all of a sudden make it seem like if you have like a cheese plate in front of you, you have a few pieces, you're like, this is normal. This is a delicious thing. And someone makes the cheese hot, and all of a sudden you're just like, ooh, this is like.
Well, because I don't think it's the cheese. I think it's the sauce. It's the marinara on the pizza.
What are we doing? No, I'm talking about hot cheese. Why when we make cheese hot do we all of a sudden feel like it's a guilty pleasure?
Well, because you're not actually just taking the cheese and melting it. You're adding stuff to it. You're adding.
I think hot cheese in general makes me feel like a guilty pleasure. This is what I said. It's more of a me.
Do you
thing.
just be microwaving cheese?
No, but on anything. If it's on anything and it's hot, all of a sudden it's a guilty pleasure.
So hold on.
But if I just have a cube of cheese, I'm just sort of like, this is a healthy treat.
But then what do you do with that?
This is what I'm saying. I'm confused. Your tone is right, by the way, now. I'm not looking for answers.
But what do you do with that cube of cheese? What do you do with that cube of cheese? You just put it on the stove? I'm talking about when it gets hot. Do you put it on the stove?
No, I'm saying if I eat a cube of cheese like on a cheese plate, I just go, that's a little healthy treat.
Right, but when is it
if it's
hot?
like on a pizza or on nachos, if I heat up the cheese on something, all of a sudden I go, this is now a guilty pleasure.
Negro, I'm trying to explain this to you.
Yes.
When it's on pizza, it's hot because it's pizza.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, this is a little guilty because it's got all the marinara on it. It's got the bread.
No, I'm judging the cheese specifically.
That's just you.
That's what I'm saying.
Ain't nobody else.
With you.
Ain't nobody. So why you asking me?
Anybody else have a thing with hot cheese?
So why you asking me?
If you sat there and you had a
fool?
cube of cheese, or you had like a piece of like, if the cheese is like hot, like melted on a nacho situation, do you not all of a sudden think that one is more of a guilty pleasure than the other? Yeah. See?
No, y'all ain't make it.
Class versus trash.
Yeah, you got that fountain, but that's extra. That's all that.
Fondue. You know fondue is my favorite food? Fondue is my number one thing. If I go to a new city, I automatically go to Yelp and look up fondue restaurants. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Fountain of melted cheese.
But this is what I'm saying. It's because that's my guilty. I might as well just have like a bag of chocolate bars. Like for me, just like a bowl of hot cheese. Man, oh man.
But I just want
that is like the favorite thing in the world. I'll just eat it. I'll eat it with a spoon. I don't even need the bread. I don't need anything. I'll just eat the hot cheese.
Well, I tell you, if you take a regular block of cheddar cheese or whatever type of cheese, go to a charcuterie board.
Yeah.
Scrape all that cheese into a bowl.
Yeah.
Heat it up.
That's fondue.
Eat it. It's fine.
It's
not fondue.
Fine.
In fondue, they're adding like liquids. They're
They
adding
only
like
add booze.
milks, and they're adding
There's no
like
milks. It's just booze.
Booze?
Yes.
What the fuck are
Fondue.
you?
It's fondue. It is. They add wine.
Fondue's got
I'm
alcohol
a fondue
in it?
expert. Don't even come at me trying to educate me on fondue. I've eaten fondue all
It's
around
cheese
the world.
and wine?
Yes.
In a drink?
That's right. But if I saw a cheese board and had a glass of wine, I'd be like, this is fine. But if I have a fondue thing, I'm like, this
I know
is...
it's dipping,
Yeah.
but if it's liquid, I call it a drink because it's liquid. You
Okay.
eat. So when you eat, so let me get this
Is
straight.
soup a drink?
Fondue.
Soup is a drink to you?
If you sip it,
Yeah.
you ever have soup in a cup?
No.
You ever have bone broth? That's soup, but you sip it. It's a drink. You ain't eating it. You don't use a fork.
That's it?
You don't chew that
Utensil
shit.
now?
You don't chew
It's
soup.
based on the utensil? I would never thought that the Bachelorette episode would devolve into this.
I'm just confused about this cheese thing.
Yeah.
Fondue is actually wine mixed with cheese?
Yes. It's all the good stuff and bread.
Man, I ain't fancy.
I'll take you to a fondue restaurant. I'll take you to lunch.
Pass.
What do you pass?
Pass.
It's so good.
No.
It's really
I'll
good.
stick
There's
with
a place
pizza.
at the Grove. There's a place at the farmer's market in the Grove, and they make the best fondue.
I'll stick with some Chicago style pizza because it is the best pizza.
I mean, I'll have that too because it's got hot cheese.
It's the best pizza.
All right.
Hot cheese, but also it's got tomato, yellow onion, little bell
Thank you for
pepper.
listening to the Bachelorette episode. Hot cheese. Hot cheese.
Let's go to break, and when we come back, Hannah, we're gonna do a little bit of messing around.
Come on now.
Not like that, you pervert.
Oh, not that. Look at that. Oh, not that. Look at that. Oh, not that. Look at that.
And we are back.
We are back, babe.
Babe,
Yeah, babe.
it's time to mess around.
Come on.
Question for you.
Yes.
Craziest thing that has happened at a Bachelorette/bachelor party that you've attended.
Well, like I said in the beginning, the only one I've ever attended is Liz's.
But what was
And
the craziest thing? The seating
I
arrangement.
mean, it was a pretty wild thing to sit down at the Cece place card. And after years of playing Cece on the show, have Cece walk in. I mean, it felt like that was a show in a show. Like if you saw it in a show, you'd be like, this is too broad, you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, this human being knows her name is Hannah. She's going to sit down at Hannah's seat. But I was tired. And I was also with Liz. It was just, you know what I mean?
You
it was
felt
just like a massive blur of art and life was happening again.
Listen, people scream Winston on the street sometimes, and I always look back.
Of course you turn around.
99.9% of the time it's me, but sometimes it's not. They're not talking to me. And I'm like, oh. Or if I see Winston on a thing, I go, it's still there.
Yeah, well, I would say when the show was on in particular, and we were, newer actors coming on the scene, people didn't know my name.
Yeah.
So I was called Cece constantly.
Yeah, I didn't know your name.
Nonstop. What do you mean, Winston? You don't know my name? Come on, Winnie. You know my name.
Cece, what up? Craziest thing that ever happened at a Bachelor.
I feel like you got stories. Come on.
Yeah.
You're just now choosing which one's okay to tell?
Yeah.
You look like you're thinking.
Some of them crazy. Some of them weird. Some of them strange and also wild.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing. You have to the next day or whatever in a few days go and marry the love of your life. Like you can't be too wild. Like you
Well,
can't.
it's not necessarily the bride or the groom doing anything crazy.
It's just other people who's there on a bit of a
they out there searching.
I see.
Yeah,
they're looking for opportunities.
There was a. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm definitely not gonna say that.
Yeah, careful. Don't incriminate anybody.
I don't want to get nobody in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you ever consider an arranged marriage?
No.
No. Well, you can't say that now because you're actually married.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I don't think. My dad worked so hard his whole life to change. Like basically what has happened throughout all of our family history till the beginning of time for the women, for his daughter, for any granddaughter, for everyone going forward, that they would have a different experience and have their choice to live the life that they want in every and any way, with their education, with their loving relationships, with their friendships, where they'd want to travel. You are your own person. This is your own life. Your gender is to the side. And so it was a big thing. He watched his sister have an arranged marriage. He watched his mother as a result of an arranged marriage. And so it's something that runs so deep. And so to be honest with you, when they wrote this into the show for me, I kind of felt like a little disappointed because I was like, this feels like old worldy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know many Indian women here that are having arranged marriages that live in America. It just seemed so we could be telling a more modern story. Until I realized, to be honest with you, a lot of my friends now who are South Asian, who are in their 30s, early 40s, are now calling up those agencies in India and saying help me. I have been out here walking around trying to find somebody. It is not working. Can someone screen these guys for me? This is hard. Yeah. I would like a professional to help me.
Well, don't you? I don't know the rules, but in an arranged marriage, wouldn't you still have a choice? Like if they say, "Hey, I'm setting you up with this guy," can you say, "No, not that guy"?
It depends. I think there's different kind of levels to it. So no, there's. Maybe you get to meet once for 5 minutes with the families all in the room and they decide that they like each other and it's a good match.
And you have to say yes? You can just say no, right?
No. In some
So you're forced into marriage?
Some. But other ones I know that they're like, oh, I'm having an arranged marriage. But then they get set up with their families and they'll be like, nope, I went out and had a coffee with him. I don't like him. Find me another one.
Oh, okay.
And so it's more introduction based.
I see.
But you're only going to, date for a little while. There's a great show on Netflix that's all about it now. And it's about a lot of women here living in the States that are just like, I need help and I want someone who understands my culture. I want someone who understands where my family's from and the kind of, life and values that we have. And so it's really funny how New Girl does this sometimes. I feel like in the moment it felt so removed and then from me and my life. And now I have all these friends that are like, how do I get on that Netflix show? Because that woman seems to be the best arranged marriage matchmaker. I want her. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of full circle, but I don't think personally for myself, just based on what my father has done, to been like, no, you go out there, you make the choice. It's nothing to do with me, who you want to spend your life with and who you're going to fall in love with. Who cares about what I think about it? This is about you and your life.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I could do it in an arranged marriage either. I can't.
No.
I can't do marriage. Arranged or otherwise.
You never know.
Let me tell you something. My arranged marriage will turn into a deranged marriage. It's going to be strange.
Well, that's just a normal marriage, bro. Next.
The dead dad pass. Is it real? Have you ever played that card or anything like it? I could tell you it is real. I play the card all the time. I do it often. I do it. It's mostly as a bit. It's always a bit. It's always a joke. Because, but what's interesting is that when I do think about things that people know how to do, like general things, and it wasn't because my father passed recently, but this was because he also wasn't around when I was growing up. There are a lot of things that I just didn't learn how to do that and my mom was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes, and it was like, she was just trying to help us eat and survive, you know what I mean? And she was there. She was very much so like present. But it was one of those things where I'm like, man, I didn't learn how to change a tire until late. I didn't learn how to, I don't know how to play poker. I don't know how to play chess. I could barely swim, all these kind of general things that my friends would be like, you don't know how to play baseball? I'm like, I kinda. I mean, I watch it every once in a while, but like, I never went out there and played catch or played baseball with anybody, So it's things like that I always look back at my father and go, I think I was supposed to learn that coming up.
Sure.
Some of these things I was supposed to learn, even in how to treat a woman. I could tell you, I had to learn that based off of watching my mom and how she demanded to be treated by people. And then I was kind of like, as I was a kid, I would know that like, oh, you're supposed to be this way. You're supposed to court someone. You're supposed to, do this way. All those things. Like I didn't know how to, when I was asking a girl out on a date, I didn't know what to do. Like I was like asking my boys about it, and they had learned from their fathers. So I was like, oh yeah, am I supposed to write a note? Am I supposed to just show up unannounced? What am I supposed to do?
How does it impact you now that you are a dad?
Oh, I just have to do everything. It's like...
Like, are you really intentional? Like, you're like, I know these things were missed, and so I'm going to like make sure I really show up.
Yes. And I also make sure that my daughter is surrounded by really good people. Just high quality people that she can learn from in things that I lack in. You know what I mean? So yeah, and overly intentional with some of those things. Even though sometimes I feel like it's going in one ear and out the other, I like to like sit down and have talks with her.
Sure.
And she just wants to like get up and go do a thing. And I'm like, I'm just going to make sure I have this talk with you now, and hopefully it sticks, and I'm going to keep doing it.
It's repetition. So you got to start the talk at some point.
100%.
You a great dad.
Oh, thank you. She's got a lot of dope people around her. And so, that's my mom made sure that with us growing up, like, all the aunts and uncles around were cool. We were surrounded by like a lot of the folks at church that were always kind of, teaching us what they could and making sure, because they knew as well what the situation was. So that's the same with me, especially being an actor who travels a lot. You have to, a lot of times when you're not there, you want to make sure you still have eyes on your kid and like who's around. I know she's with her mom, but like who else is over there? What are y'all doing today? What is going on over here? You know what I mean? And so that's something that I knew that again, from watching my mom, I was like, oh, that's how I'm going to learn it. And she never like said it, like, this is what's going on. She just did it. And then I was like, oh, that's what I got to do.
Shout out to your mama.
Mm-hmm.
And hot cheese.
Exactly.
Well,
but I would never wear that yellow velour jumpsuit. Well, thank you all for listening.
This was a great hang.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Be sure to follow us on IG at The Mess Around Pod. We're going to be back next week with episode 223, Virgins.
Ooh.
Like and subscribe, folks. Go ahead and buy some of this merch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hit us up.
Bye.
Send in questions. Peace. And we are back. Did you think we weren't going to come back, guys?
We had to come back because I have great news. Ask me the question. Ask it.
What question would that be?
The question.
Because the question that you've been disappointing me so far with?
Well, I ain't going to disappoint you this time, so ask the question.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay, Hannah. The folks out there want to know. Did you find the bear?
I found the bear.
You damn. Okay. Okay.
I'm very excited about it.
Well, please explain to us.
Merritt Weaver,
Ooh.
one of my favorite actresses in the world, does me a solid.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that Schmidt looked like a dumb little panda bear. Bear. One of my favorite kinds of bear. Panda bears. I love them so much. So cute.
Panda bears are violent, by the way.
Well, I didn't bring one home. I just like to look at their cuteness.
Panda bears are the most
And I appreciate
violent.
them showing up in this episode and proving my theory right. So thank you, little panda bear, little cutie.
There's a misconception about panda bears out there. That they are sweet and cuddly.
Did you see that there was like this big article about this zoo that didn't have the panda bear, so they took dogs and they just spray painted them black and white, little puppies, and put them out there.
Where was this? Japan?
Yeah.
Is
And
it
they were
China?
just sort of like, and we have the panda bears.
These
And it's
skinny-ass
just straight up
bears.
dogs. It's straight up dogs, which reminds me really quickly of when I did a science fair project and I was supposed to like prove that women were smarter than men. And so I got like two gerbils and I got like a brown gerbil and a white gerbil and I was supposed to race them through. But then I lost the white gerbil and I never found it in the house and it disappeared. So I did the brown gerbil and then I covered him in talcum powder and then I had him run through again and I lied and I won the science fair.
Hannah, you know what it sounds like?
What?
Because you said it was women are smarter than
That
men.
was pretty smart. I
No.
won the science fair
No,
and
you know
nobody
what-
questioned me.
No, you know what this sounds like? Because you had a brown one and you had a white one.
Yeah.
And then the brown one turned out to be the smartest one, so you covered it to make it look white. That's what it sounds like you just did.
No, I
You're trying
genuinely
to
lost
prove-
the gerbil. It was honestly, as long as we lived in that apartment, I was so scared that one day we would find a dead gerbil. It was always my fear. And my mom was like, "Oh, can you go get a pot?" And I was like, "Can you get it? What if it's in there?" I was like haunted by that gerbil for the rest of my life. I never found it. It died somewhere for sure, or maybe it just ran through the streets of Cyprus, living its best life as the only gerbil in the island. Anyway,
That
panda
sounded
bear.
like critical race theory to me. That's what that sounded like.
So the masterminds did it.
All right, peace, y'all. That was The Mess Around. This has been an iHeartMedia production. Our executive producer is Joelle Monique. Our engineer and editor is Mia Taylor. Additional production from Daniel Goodman, Wendy Heisler, and Kyle Chevron. Our theme song was written and composed by Ronald Jukebox Jackson. So we're going to catch you next time. Bye.